So hi everyone and welcome to our webinar, RENALizing an Active Lifestyle. We are so pleased that you have joined us today. My name is Megan Dowling and I am the Programs Coordinator for the Atlantic branch of the Kidney Foundation of Canada. Before we get any further, I'd like to acknowledge that I live and work on the traditional and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq First Nation. So I'm delighted to have three speakers joining us this evening. But before I go ahead to introduce them and what we will be doing with our session today, I'm going to quickly go through some housekeeping items. So today's webinar is being recorded. You will receive a follow-up email within a week that will have a link to view a recording of this webinar. The webinar will also be uploaded to our website, kidney.ca, and our YouTube channel. So in order to protect your privacy, we have decided to only show the videos of our speakers. You'll also notice that by default, you've all entered the webinar with your audio muted. We keep everyone muted just to help lower any of the background noises, which helps to keep our webinar flowing smoothly. Although we are all muted, you still have the opportunity to submit text questions. There are two ways in which you can do this. The first option is through the question and answer box, which gives you the option to submit questions anonymously. You can also use the chat box to submit questions. However, please note that your name will appear beside the question if you use the chat box. So if you want to submit them anonymously, use the question and answer box. Feel free to submit questions at any time during the webinar. We will do our best to answer as many as we can after each speaker. If you do use the chat box, we just ask that you refrain from sharing any personal contact information, as this is visible to all of those who are attending the webinar. When you leave the webinar at the end, a quick survey about today's webinar will pop up for you to fill out. If you do not wish to fill it out right away, a link to complete it will also be emailed to you. We ask that you please take a few moments to complete the survey, as feedback is what allows us to continue offering programs such as this. And because your feedback is very important to us, as a little extra motivation, to complete the survey, we are offering a $50 Sobeys gift card as a draw prize for all of those who fill out the survey. So the survey is anonymous. However, in order to be entered into the draw to win the prize, you must provide your email address or phone number. That will come up at the end of the webinar, but it will also be emailed to you. So, a quick disclaimer, the material contained in this webinar does not constitute medical advice and is intended for informational purposes only. No one associated with the Kidney Foundation of Canada will answer medical questions, so please always consult a healthcare professional for specific treatment recommendations. Now we're finally ready to get right into the webinar. I'm so excited again to have you all join us this evening or day, afternoon, depending where in Canada you are. We have lots planned. Our first speaker will address the benefits of physical activity to kidney disease, how to start moving your body in a safe way, and how to progress. We'll then take an active break with our yoga instructor, who will guide us through 15 minutes of gentle, easy movements. And then following our active break, we will hear from Newman, who will speak about her inspiring journey with physical activity while living with chronic kidney disease. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Oops. There we go. And we're going to get into our first poll question. So before I do introduce the speaker, I'm going to launch a quick poll question. All information collected from this poll is completely anonymous, and it's collected just to give us a better idea of who is attending our programs and the impact of our webinars. We're able to see the percentage of answers for each question, but there's no names attached to these. So let me launch it here. We'll launch the first question. So all you have to do to participate in the poll is to click the answer that best describes you. So it should have popped up on your screen now. And I'll just give a couple of moments to let everybody answer. Okay, I see in the chat box that the sound is a little, it's cutting out. Is this better? Can anybody tell me if this is better? Just write in the chat box. And while I wait for that, I'll just end the poll here. And I'll share the results. So again, we can't see any names attached to this. It's just the percentages. So the results should be up on your screen now. So it looks like we have a lot of kidney patients with us today. We have some people on dialysis, some people who have received more than one transplant, some living kidney donors, and family members and caregivers. So that's great. Sorry about that audio issue. I see that it's getting a little bit better there. So, okay. And before we go further, I just have one more poll question for you. So it should come up on the screen for you there. Again, I'll just give a couple of moments for you to fill that out. So the question is all about how often do you take part in physical activity? So is it less than 30 minutes per week? 30 to 60 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes a week, 90 to 120 minutes per week, 120 to 150 minutes per week, or more than 150 minutes per week. We also have the option there that I currently do not take part in physical activity. So I'll just wait a couple of more moments there. Okay, it looks like most people have answered. And again, I will share the results with you just so you can see. So it looks like we have a good mix. That's great. Okay. Thank you all for participating in the polls. And without further ado, I am going to introduce our first speaker, Kevin Juliet. Kevin is a master's student at the University of Prince Edward Island, studying the perception of exercise programs for cancer and dialysis patients. He has a passion for physical activity and exercise and likes to share his knowledge with anyone that is willing to listen and learn. Kevin has a vision on being able to aid anyone become more physical activity to be able to live a happy and healthy life. He believes that being physically active should be a lifestyle and not something that people feel they need to do. So welcome, Kevin. I will let you share your screen now.
Hi, everybody. Just give me 1 second there. Can you see that, Megan?
Yep, that's perfect.
Yeah, so like Megan said, I'm going to be talking about the benefits of exercise and why you should exercise. It seems pretty obvious to me, but it's not always the case for everybody. Sorry, I can't seem to, there we go. So some of the benefits to exercise, I've just listed a couple here. There are many more. But for example, we have cardiovascular benefits, so heart health, So in terms of exercise, it'll lower your heart rate, it'll control your blood pressure. Obviously, you have some muscular benefits as well. Little less talked about is some mental health benefits. You have better sleep, and controls your blood sugar. You have weight control, and it also, funnily enough, you have more energy when you exercise. Now, specific to the chronic kidney disease population, so I ran an exercise program, a pilot study for an exercise program for the hemodialysis unit here in PEI, which is, so here you can see one of the patients there cycling. So if you have chronic kidney disease, you get all of the previously mentioned benefits, as well as all of the other benefits from exercise, but you also have better clearances during your dialysis treatment. Why that is because whenever, so for example, I don't know how many of you are on dialysis or hemodialysis or peritoneal dialysis. Whenever you are stationary, whenever you're being sedentary, such as, you know, when you're receiving hemodialysis, you're just sitting there for about 4 hours and you're not moving. As soon as you start moving your body, fluids within your body start moving around, and that way they'll go outside of your body or into your kidneys if your kidneys are still functioning to get filtered. So this person here, they're exercising, they're moving their legs, blood is pumping through their veins, going into the dialyzer and getting better clearances. So some stuff like your urea clearances, your KT over V, any kind of solutes that your kidneys would, you know, generally filter would go into the dialyzer to get filtered and put back in. Okay, so that's something specific to the chronic kidney disease population or end-stage renal disease population that they get through exercise while they're receiving hemodialysis treatment. How to start exercising. So a lot of people who have chronic kidney disease are not very active. There's a lot of comorbidities associated with chronic kidney disease, such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, etc. So some people might not be aware of how to even start with exercise. You know, it seems easy for those of us that are active, but for those who are not active, it's not actually easy. So the first thing you need to do is consult with your family physician or your nephrologist to see, you know, if you're able to exercise. You know, whenever we ran the hemodialysis exercise program, you know, they had to get clearance from the nephrologist to make sure it's safe for them to exercise. Once you get that clearance from your physician or nephrologist, it's important to seek a qualified individual, ideally somebody who has dealt with chronic kidney disease would be best, or you also have, they're called certified exercise physiologists, and they are basically qualified to deal with people with like clinical populations, you know, such as cardiovascular disease, cancer, chronic kidney disease, any kind of clinical disease that somebody could have. They're kind of able to deal with those kinds of people. The next thing you should do is, you know, choose a fitness center or an at-home exercise program. You know, if you are fortunate enough to live in an area where they have exercise programs for your specific, you know, like a chronic kidney disease exercise program, that would be ideal, because you are, you know, you're with like-minded people, and you're also dealing with somebody who knows kind of what they're doing. However, if you're comfortable going in a fitness center, that's perfectly fine. You know, there's plenty of at-home exercise programs. So those are, you know, you don't have to go out in the fitness center. You don't even have to exercise inside your house. You know, outside we have a lot of opportunities to be able to exercise. Maybe not so much in the wintertime, but you shouldn't limit going outside of your house to not exercise. So how to exercise. So there's this thing called the FIT principle. It's an acronym. So F is for frequency. So I'll go through these with you. So your frequency, so how many times per week? So to talk about that, we'll talk about the 24-hour movement guidelines. So these were brought out by the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology last November. So they say, and I'm sure you've heard this before, that you should exercise for 150 minutes per week of moderate to vigorous aerobic physical activity. You should also do muscle strengthening activities using major muscle groups at least twice a week. And also do some light physical activities such as like standing is considered a light physical activity. So going back to our frequency, these things can be separated in multiple. Obviously, you don't have to do 150 minutes in one day, right? You can break it up however you want it. The next one is the intensity. So how hard should you exercise? So for that, so this is kind of, we use a couple of tools for this. One of them is called the rate of perceived exertion chart. So it's something like this. Sorry, I'll move that so you can see here. So it's basically a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being I'm watching TV and eating bonbons, which we should not be doing anyway. All the way up to number 10, which is, probably not really undead, but you're exercising really, really hard. Whenever we do exercise, it is very important for us to get out of breath. Being out of breath is completely normal. So generally, when I'm training people, I kind of want to get them between the 5 and the 7 range. So I'm just above comfortable. I'm able to sweat, or I'm sweating more, and I can talk easily. Up to number 7, which is I can still talk, but I don't really want to, and I'm sweating like a pig. The other way, which brings me to the second way that we can see if we're working hard enough, is it's called the talk test, and it's basically that. So if you're able to comfortably hold a conversation and you're sweating, you're kind of on the lower end of the intensity, and you could probably work out a little bit more. You kind of want to, like I said, you kind of want to be in a point in between that, or in and around there. If you can have a comfortable conversation and you're not sweating, you're probably not working out hard enough. And if you're kind of like a number 8, like I can grunt in response to your questions, and I can only keep this pace for a short time period. These are things I wouldn't suggest a new person to get there, to go there right away. Obviously, it's something that you can work to and is not necessarily dangerous. However, it's not something you can sustain for long periods of time. We're talking about, maybe a minute, maybe 2. Okay, so you kind of, like I said, you kind of want to stand in that 5 to 6 range, and you can use kind of this 1 to 10 range to kind of figure out where you're at. There we go. You can also use heart rate monitors. So a lot of people now have like Fitbits or Whoop or any kind of Apple Watch, anything like that have built-in heart rate monitors. Kind of like that 120 range. But that's kind of something you should talk to your physician or nephrologist or any kind of exercise professional about, to see kind of what range you want to be in. Okay. The next one is the time. So how long should you exercise? So 30 to 60 minutes per day is kind of recommended, but you can break it up throughout the day. So for example, if you want to work out 30 minutes a day, you can work out for 10 minutes a day in the morning, 10 minutes at noon, 10 minutes in the evening, and there's your 30 minutes, right? So you definitely don't have to do all of these things at the same time. You can break it up however much you want. In fact, there's some research to show that if you break up your sedentary time, so your sitting time or your screen time, by physical activity is more beneficial than doing all of your physical activity at once and then all of your sitting at once as well. So it's sometimes it can be more beneficial to break it up throughout the day. And again, 10 minutes per day is not really a lot. Whereas 60 minutes is, kind of get on the upper end, especially if you have like family, other, a job, any other things that you have to do throughout the day. The last one is the type. So what type of exercise should you do? generally speaking, there's two types of exercises. There's cardiovascular, which is like your running and walking, and then there's your strength training. So let's look at what those two are. So cardiovascular exercises. So like I said, walking, running, cycling, which I'm sure Sarah's going to talk at length about. Also swimming, and there's rowing. Any of these options are good, and not one is really better than the other. However, somehow have a higher impacts on the body than others. You know, when you compare running to cycling or swimming, you know, obviously running has a lot more impact on the joints than those two, which have swimming practically has none, and cycling as well. And then when we're talking about strength training, you know, another word you can use for that is resistance training, which basically means that any object that offers resistance to your body. So examples for this are, you know, we have free weights here. Here in this corner, there's a few different examples of body weight exercises, you know, push-ups, pull-ups, jumping jacks, planks, you know, those are all examples of body weight exercises. You know, down here we have a woman that's using exercise bands, you know, so she's sitting on exercise bands right now. There's a variety of exercises you can do with exercise bands. Then, of course, you have your exercise machines, which you generally find in a fitness center, although some people have them at home as well. These can appear, the exercise machines can appear to be intimidating. However, you know, there's always pictures on them, and you can pretty much only move the apparatus one way. You kind of can't really move them the wrong way, right? Especially if you look at those pictures. So those are kind of like the various exercises of both cardiovascular and strength training. I do want to note though that when I talked about the guidelines, you know, the 150 minutes of exercise per week, those should only really ever be used as, you know, a goal to achieve, right? Like we want to get at least that. However, if you're a brand new to exercise, I would never expect anybody to go from 0 to 150 minutes of exercise in 1 week. That is completely unreasonable and should not be, you should not want to do that. It's something that you should strive through. And just remember that being out of breath is okay, and it should be something that you want to get to, right? You never want to go for a leisurely walk and never get out of breath, because you're not really exercising there, right? You're just kind of going for a walk. The other thing to mention is to do something that you enjoy, as there's a higher chance that you'll keep doing it. You know, if you hate cycling, but you love running, then go for a run, right? Don't bother yourself with trying to, you know, tell yourself, oh, I have to go cycling because it's good for me, right? There's a difference between physical activity and exercise. So physical activity would be, you know, like doing some yard work, going for a leisurely walk. Those are all physical activity. There's a difference between that and doing exercise. Exercise is a planned activity that has a purpose other than not being sedentary. So other than not being sitting or being stationary, that's what exercise is. You have a goal to do that, okay? The other thing to mention is that exercise lowers your blood pressure. A lot of people who have chronic kidney disease, like I mentioned, also have comorbidities, some of which are cardiovascular diseases. So if you start exercising and you're on blood pressure medication that is intended to lower your blood pressure, exercise in combination with the blood pressure medication can cause conflict, which is why you should consult with your physician if it's safe for you to exercise, because there are reports of people needing to either decrease their blood pressure medication or go completely off of their blood pressure medication because of the benefits of exercise. So I really can't emphasize enough how crucial exercise is to people. Now, the last thing is, how do you progress with exercise, especially if you're brand new? Starting small is very important. Like I said, I would never expect anybody to start from 0 to 150 minutes of exercise per week. You know, you can, like I said, that is the goal. You want to work up to that. You can increase the difficulty gradually. There's kind of the thing we call increase it by about 10%. So if you go for a 10-minute walk, the next time you're going to go for, so 10% of that is 1 minute. So you're going to go for an 11-minute walk, right? The same thing with, if you're lifting weights, until you are able to lift the same weight easily, don't increase the weight right away. Muscle soreness is also normal. If you're brand new to exercise and your muscles get sore, it's completely normal. By all means, do not sit on the chair and do nothing because your muscles are sore. Moving will help them feel better. It sounds counterintuitive, but I promise you that it does work. It does take time. It's not as immediate as medication. However, exercise is medication. There are plenty of physicians who are trying to get their patients healthy using exercise, as it is really the best drug. However, it does take time. So keep that in mind whenever you start exercising. I hope I didn't go too far over my time, Megan, but that is it for my presentation. I will gladly take any questions anybody has.
Yeah, no, that was great, Kevin. Thank you so much. I liked how you mentioned that exercise can be done anytime or anywhere. I think one thing that we struggle with a lot here in Canada is that the weather doesn't always cooperate with us. And often people think, well, if it's not a nice day outside, then how can I get some movement in? But there's many ways that you can move your body indoors as well. So yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I know a guy who ran a 5K, like it was during the COVID restrictions. He ran a 5K around his house, and it's not a very big yard. But anyways, he ran a 5K, just ran laps around the house. So you really can do anything. I hate to say there's no excuses, but you would be hard pressed to tell me an excuse about not being able to exercise.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, I can't imagine. I think I would be dizzy
Yeah.
if I ran around the house that many times. No, that's a really good point, though. We do have a question just about what are some ideas of things that you can do indoors, especially if you don't necessarily have any kind of like exercise equipment at your house.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have any exercise equipment at your house, you can go to the pharmacy. Every pharmacy has exercise bands, so you can get them there. I realize there's a cost. However, I know a bunch of people who fill water jugs with water, soup cans, heavy bags of whatever. However, like I mentioned, there are various types of body weight exercises that you can do and that have plenty of benefits, as good of benefits as lifting weights. A quick Google search will probably be able to bring out, at least 20 body weight exercises that anybody can do at home. If you have a chair, you, like I said, you would be hard pressed to tell me an excuse to not be able to exercise.
Yes, and I'm sure now, you mentioned Googling for ideas and stuff. I'm sure now there's probably more than enough ideas out there on the internet, especially with COVID. People who used to maybe go into a gym are no longer able to do that because of COVID. So I'm sure one thing that COVID has brought us is to make us a little bit more creative.
Yeah, for sure. And again, the internet is a great source. However, it's also a terrible source, which is why I tell people, especially if you have some kind of clinical condition, consult with your physician to see if exercise is safe. Because people who receive hemodialysis treatment, one of their arms is likely not able to be used as much as the other because of the fistula, right? So you want to be careful as to kind of what types of exercises you do there.
That's a really, really good point. And I like that that you stress that some more, that it is so incredibly important to consult with your healthcare professional first. That's definitely a really good point. We do have one more question, and it was just about the bikes for dialysis, and is this possible to do if you were laying on a bed, say in the hospital? And so I thought this was a great opportunity for you to talk a little bit more about bike pedals that you mentioned that we were working on in the hospital.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So there's the company that we got to get the pedals do make an attachment that goes onto the beds. It basically hooks onto the foot of the bed. And then it's got a lift basically, and then you can pedal laying down. However, it is something that the hospital would need to purchase. So it's probably not something that you can like, I mean, you can buy it if you, you can buy it if you want. But I doubt anybody has kind of the money for that. But it's definitely something to talk to the renal unit that someone goes to about the possibility of doing that. I should have mentioned, you can probably add my email somewhere in the presentation, that if anybody has any questions about running an exercise program in a hospital for hemodialysis patients, I will happily answer any questions. So yes, there is a way, but you would have to go through the hospital to do that. Yeah. Sure.
No, that's great. We'll stick your email in the chat box. So thank you for that. We do need to move on to the active break here, but I just wanted to say another thank you, Kevin, and I really appreciate the encouraging words that you shared as well. 30 minutes a day for somebody can sound really discouraging and really difficult, but it's really nice to hear that, we can even just 10 minutes, say in the morning, maybe 10 minutes at lunch, and maybe 10 minutes in the evening is something that is beneficial to us. And, if we want to work up to 150 minutes a week, that's great. But, nobody's expecting somebody to go from 0 to 100. So that was very encouraging.
Yeah. And always remember that something is better than nothing.
Exactly.
Right? Any kind of exercise is better than no exercise. There's not one exercise type that is directly better than another, right? So something is better than nothing. Just remember that.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much, Kevin.
You're welcome.
I believe that, oh yeah, you put your email in the chat. So thank you so much.
Not a problem.
All right. So now for our active break. So for the next 15 minutes, Pam Martin-McDonald is going to guide us through some gentle, easy movements that you can do either from your chair or standing up. So Pam is a holistic health practitioner with the Academy of Naturopaths and Naturotherapists of Canada and founder of Meridian Health and Wellness in St. John's, Newfoundland. She is a passionate mental health advocate and mompreneur who believes in whole body holistic health for all and for the long term. In addition to the numerous holistic healing modalities offered through Meridian, she is a public speaker, wellness presenter, personal development coach, self-care program facilitator, and has offered wellness retreats both privately and corporately. Pam is also a certified yoga teacher in yin yoga, yoga nidra, children's yoga and meditation, and restorative yoga. So welcome, Pam. We are so excited to have you with us today.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. I really want to thank you, Megan, and your team for organizing and for inviting me to come be a part of this. And I also want to say hi to Kevin. I really enjoyed your presentation. I also have a background in personal training. That's how I started into this, and then it evolved a little bit more into the mental and the nervous system side of things, but some gentler practices. So we have the intense, and then we have the more gentle type movements. And just like you mentioned, not one exercise or movement is better than the other. It's the combination of both, which helps the body to heal, to rest, and everything to function. So with all the listening, I wanted to get us to get a little movement going. So I'm going to take a seat here on the floor. I have a bolster, but if you want to join in, if you have a pillow nearby, you can use that. In yoga, stillness as well as movement is very important. So in order to have some stillness, we need to be comfortable. So as I said, I have my bolster. You can sit on a pillow. Let's find ourselves here to start. Hips slightly higher than the knees. And this helps take some of the load off of the low back and the lumbar area. Roll the shoulders back and down. Take a deep breath in and let it out. This is the type of class where I encourage people not to keep everything in. We want to soften this area, only engaging the muscles that are necessary to help support us up. Another deep breath in. Let it out. As you let it out, draw the belly button in and up. This time, we're going to pair that movement and the breath together. Stretch the arms out wide. Feel the shoulder blades come together on the back, but still having those shoulders down from the ears. Palms face forward. Let's turn the palms now facing up. Pair the breath in. All the way up, reaching from the seat. We are grounded here, and the stretch is coming from the sit bones, the abdomen, all the way up the back body, feeling a stretch in each arm. And we're going to pair the breath once again with the movement. Breath in, left hand comes up to center. Breath in, right. One more, both arms up. Palms face down, exhale, belly button in and up. We're going to sweep the arms and the breath in. And this time, turn the body towards the left. We're getting a gentle twist here. And we're imagining that we are twisting from the bottom up like a corkscrew. Left fingertips are gently resting on the floor or on a block behind you so that they do meet a surface. The right hand is going to come on the outer edge of the left thigh. The crown of the head reaches up, long in the torso, twisting like that corkscrew with the hip bones first, then the rib cage, then the shoulders, and lastly, the head. Breathe into this twist. Let it out completely. 2 more breaths on this side. Assisting those organs such as the kidneys to do their job. Breath in, come to center. Take the arms out, sweeping them up. Gently twisting to the opposite side. Right fingertips finding a resting place just behind the body. And this helps to keep us upright. The left hand is going to come to the outer edge of the left thigh. But both sit bones, both left and right glutes are connected to the floor. The foundation is set. We are breathing in as we twist from the bottom, hips, belly, ribs, shoulders, turning the gaze back, breathing in, breathing out, cleansing with fresh oxygen, and letting it out, that carbon dioxide. Gently come back to the front. We're going to move anything that we were sitting on to the side. Coming to hands and knees. Place the hands directly under the shoulders. We are stacking our joints to help support the body. The fingertips are straight out, using the index finger as a guide. Roll those shoulders back and down so that we're engaging the muscles in the upper back, taking the stress and the strain off of the neck. The neck is free. These gentle movements are going to help to take our body from a stress state into a more relaxed and calming state, which is what we want to do when we're helping our body to heal and to activate more properly. The knees are underneath the hips, and the shoelace side of our feet is down into the earth. Press firmly through all 6 points, pressing the ground away, activating the musculature in the back, rolling the outer or the upper arms outwards. Take a breath in right here in this strong, firm tabletop. The next breath in, we're going to let that belly sag. Don't hold those muscles in tight. This is your opportunity to let everything out. The crown of the head and the tailbone come up to the sky. Take a breath in and out here in tabletop. Breath in. Next breath out. Pair that with arching the back. We're going to squeeze out that oxygen, that carbon dioxide. When you're ready to take your next breath in, back to cow. Every time you go to exhale, arch that back, helping the body to release. Back to center. Roll the shoulders back, making sure the neck is free and long. Let's take some circular movements with the head here, just to make sure. Curl the toes under. Use your hands to walk the body back. So now your weight is on your toes. Let the heels come down. Stay here for a moment in a squat position. We're going to push the ground away, increasing the strength in the legs. They are active and strong. Start to roll the body up, stacking vertebrae at a time, all the way up to the top. Roll those shoulders down and back. Lift up the toes. I'm going to come here so you can see me a little bit better. Lift up the toes, and we're going to fan them out, just like you will with your fingers. Spread them out. Starting with the pinky, the baby toe, place them down one at a time. Now grip the floor, grip the mat, engage the muscles by turning the inner thighs out, shins in. Legs are strong. We're going to shift our weight onto our right foot. Gently pick a spot on the wall. Engage the muscles in that right foot. I'm going to place the sole of the left foot either below the knee or just above. Notice if you're toppling to the side, can you square your hips? And of course, anytime that you fall out, that's completely okay. You can laugh at yourself. And once that is in place, press the sole of that left foot in. The knee turns out into space. Hips are square. Maybe you can let your arms out. All the way up. And down. Forward, down. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. Shift the weight of the body onto the left. Take your right foot. You can always start in this position as your tree. Hips are front, knees out. Start from here. If you'd like to explore a little further, come to the first position that we did, or even up further. Press that in, engage the muscles, arms come out. Maybe you're moving in the wind just like a tree. And down. Shake out those ankles, shake out those hands, take any movement that you please. And of course, at any time you are moving your body, you know your body best. Stop, modify, slow down, whatever it is that feels right in your body. You are the boss of you. We are going to turn, press the feet down into a forward fold. When we're folding the body, we're compressing, once again, helping these internal organs do what they do best. But when we're turning or folding, we're going to do it hinging. So take a breath in. Stick the glutes back like you're going to sit in an imaginary chair. And then bring the chest down. You can have a micro bend in the knees. And then let the crown of the head, like a magnet, come to the floor. This opens up the entire back body, stretching through that low back and opening up through the glutes, the back of the thighs, all the way down. Take a breath in and feel that lift with the inflation of the belly. And then as you exhale, maybe you come closer to your thighs, or maybe your hands make their way a little closer to the floor. Turn your head side to side. Grab your elbows. And you can sway. Again, shifting the weight from one foot to the other. So as you are shifting the weight to the right, the left knee bends. Breath into center. And exhale, right knee bends. Back to center. From this position, we're going to walk our hands forward, further stretching through the back body, inverting. If you're on your toes, that's fine. Some may find their heels on the mat. We're going to pedal it out. Breath in, center, breath out, press the right heel down. Spread those fingers wide, grip the mat with those fingertips, bring the shoulder blades together on the back, engaging those upper muscles in the back. One more time. Come on to the knees. And make your way to the floor. Mindfully arriving, staying in the present moment, stretching out now from all those folds. One last twisting variation. Bring the knees to the chest. Breath in. Breath out as you hug in front of the shins or behind the calves. And if that is not available, and you want to try this practice anytime at home, you can use a tie, a scarf. Hold that in your hands to help bring your knees to your body. And only go as tight or as comfortable as it is for you. Take your right arm, wrap that around the front of your knees. The left or the right hand is on the outside edge of the left knee. Take a breath in and drop those knees all the way over to the right. Breath in here in the twist. Let the weight of the knees continue to twist from the left shoulder all the way down the left side through the ribs, the hip, thighs, arms stretch out into a T shape. You can even turn the head further, taking the twist. Breath in. Breath out as you bring the knees back to center. We always pause in the transitions. Wrap your left arm out and around, and then drop all the way over to the left. Both shoulder blades are on the floor. The upper body is connected to the earth, and the lower body is twisting to the opposite side. Arms stretched out, palms facing up. Breathing in to wherever it is that you feel the twist most prominently. Send that body part some extra TLC. Anytime the mind wanders, you can always use a mantra to help bring you back. I'm going to offer one. You can use this on or off the mat anytime. I am healthy. I am strong. Breath in. Come back to center. Stretch out those legs one at a time. The most important part of any movement is slowness at the end. Your body, for all that it does. We've just worked to open the meridians and channels, the energy, circulation. Everything can flow from one body part to the other, energetically, spiritually, mentally, and physically. It's all connected. Begin to bring some awareness back into the fingertips, back into the toes, drawing our awareness into our surroundings, back out of the physical body, tuning in. Make your way onto your favorite side. Pausing here, mindful movements, knowing that being able to move is love for the body. It's never punishment. Press your top hand into the floor. Support the body, come all the way up. We'll meet and close our practice today with the same intention, integrity, and respect for this body as we started. Bring your hands together at heart center. Let those thumbs rest on the chest. I am strong. I am healthy. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today for this active break. For more movements like this, I do have a membership that I just launched. So anyone, anywhere can take part in wellness practices each day of the week with replays available. I also offer private sessions, one-on-ones. And if you're here in St. John's, Newfoundland, you can always come see me in person. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pam. That was absolutely excellent. Before you go, I do have a quick question from somebody. So we know yoga, of course, is great to relax. It's great for flexibility as well. But can it be used as a strengthening exercise as well?
Definitely. There are many lineages, many different types of yoga. It's definitely a great way to increase your body your musculature in your body, because using the body weight is one thing that is used in yoga. So we did a very gentle type, but there are other types of practices that can make you sweat. And I have experienced that extreme sweating, and I mean not in a hot yoga room either, just from the practice. So time under tension is an amazing way to build strength, as well as patience and resilience.
Yes, exactly. And actually, what I love about yoga and using it as a strengthening exercise is you don't really need any equipment. You can do everything at home. All you need is a soft surface or a mat if you have it. But it's a great way to get some strengthening exercise in there without having to own a bunch of equipment.
Oh, 100%. It's such a versatile practice. You can add or take away as long as you keep the integrity of the practice, which is never over push your body. We don't want to punish the body, and we do want to stay in the moment to not cut off our breath or to get stressed. We want to induce mindful short bursts of stress so that our muscles can grow just like our mind grows, but we're doing that intentionally and in a very safe way.
Exactly. And I think that's a really important message to a lot of people who are just starting out with their physical activity and their exercise as well, is, not to push yourself, not to damage yourself, start slowly. And it's something that you can enjoy. You don't have to hate it.
Well, you're going to, that if you hate it, you're not going to want to do it. So we want to have something about the movement that's going to draw you in and keep you coming back. So knowing your why and respecting your body, working with it, and every body is different.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Pam. We're very happy to have you with us this evening. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we're going to move on now to speak with Sarah. So we have about 10 or 15 minutes to talk with Sarah. Sarah Newman, you can see her on the screen now. She was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease at the age of 4 and has now been living with it for over 27 years. Sarah is a mother to 5-year-old Jessa and works as an educational assistant at LM Montgomery and PEI, and as a fund development assistant with the Kidney Foundation of Canada Atlantic Branch. So I know Sarah very well now. So Sarah's here today to share a little bit of her story with us. Now, I don't want to give everything away from Sarah. I'll let her tell you all about herself, but just please know that this is a very informal kind of conversation. So if you do have any questions at all for Sarah, please feel free. You can ask them again in the question and answer box or in the chat box. And I'll make sure that I'm looking over there frequently to see if we have any questions. So without further ado, Sarah, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Megan.
I'll just, maybe we'll get started just at the beginning here. Maybe the beginning of your journey, if you could share us with that, maybe when you were first diagnosed, and kind of bring that to where you are today.
So my journey started when I was 4. I wasn't born with kidney disease. I unfortunately got E. coli from an unknown source. From there, I got 50% of my kidney function back, and I was able to live on that relatively comfortable for about 15 years. Around the age of 20, my kidneys started not working very well at all. I only had about 20%, and my goal was to have children at some point. So that had been a discussion ongoing. I always worked with kids and always loved being with kids. So my dream was to have one of my own, and I was able to fulfill that dream, not without a price to my kidneys, but we knew that it would be more beneficial to me to use my kidneys that weren't working very well before I tried to get a new one. So my daughter was born in 2015, and I didn't have to do any dialysis in between then. I did it for 14 weeks when I was 4, but I didn't need it at all in my teenage years. I did start peritoneal dialysis a year after she was born and was lucky enough to get a transplant in 2017. My dad took part in the Canadian-wide paired exchange and was able to donate a kidney to an anonymous female in Ontario, and I got a kidney from an anonymous male in Halifax at the same time on the same day. But unfortunately, my kidney only lasted 18 months, which we also don't know why. So we can say a little bit of bad luck along the way. But the good news is I'm home doing peritoneal dialysis 4 times a day, working in 2 places that I love, and things are going really well. And the hope is that I will get a new kidney at some point soon.
Our fingers are crossed for that.
Thank you.
So I know, again, I know your story a little bit more just working with you, but I know you've mentioned many times before that physical activity is a large part of your life. So maybe you can go into a little bit about what your interests are in exercise and what kind of things that you do.
Yep, sure. So in university, I always loved going to the gym. Growing up, I wasn't allowed to do as many physical activities as I would have liked. Contact sports was out of the question, which is hard growing up when you're not able to participate in gym class and play on soccer teams and all that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't say it was a huge part of my life in my younger years because my family was super protective of me to kind of guard my kidneys as much as possible. Now, when I went to university and had access to a gym full time, I did start to do that on my own and really enjoyed it. The gym is definitely my preference, but since COVID has hit, it's just not really safe enough for me to be able to go to the gym. So I do work out at home, a minimum of 5 to 6 days a week with equipment that I've purchased to be able to do weightlifting and that sort of thing at home. And I also cycle. I cycle inside and outside, which is a huge part of my life.
That's awesome. So just because I do know, and as Kevin mentioned too, that you can speak to cycling, probably
Yeah.
more than a little bit than others. So before we get into anything else, just what are some of the accomplishments or milestones have you reached with cycling?
So I always cycled like every other kid did on a mountain bike when I was young, but a year ago in July, I decided that I was going to attempt to road bike because I don't have the best knees and I don't love running. So I bought a road bike, started biking outside, and then I bought a trainer to be able to bike inside all winter. And I had set a goal last September that by Christmas Eve, I would bike 100 kilometers inside. So I did in under 5 hours, which was really good. And I was really, really happy with that. It was hard. I did not start doing that. I started doing 5 kilometers and then 20, 30, 40, 50. And that was my goal. And I'm very stubborn. So I was able to push through to that. I do kind of prefer cycling inside as opposed to outside just for climate purposes. I find that it's easier on my body to be able to control the climate. So I do a lot of that. But in summer, it is nice to be able to get outside. So right now I'm still doing the same thing. I'm focusing more on putting on some muscle so that I'm a little bit stronger to do these longer bike rides. So I'm lifting weights at home about 3 to 5 days a week, depending on the week, and then trying to get in at least 2 or 3 solid bike rides.
Well, that's absolutely incredible. Congratulations on your accomplishments. That's, again, amazing. So now that we all know that you've accomplished so much with physical activity, what would you say? Because again, as Kevin and both Pam mentioned that, you don't have to go from 0 to 100.
No.
You don't want to push your body too much, especially at the beginning. You want to enjoy it. So what kind of advice would you give for people, or what would you have to say to people who may be starting out or who maybe have never kind of done any kind of physical activity or exercise before?
I would definitely say the key is to find something you enjoy. getting up and working out is not something that I love to do every day, but I'm to the point that it makes me feel so much better and have so much more energy. My skin's not as itchy. I never have extra fluid on because I'm constantly sweating out extra toxins. That my choice for myself now is not to do it or not to do it. It's what I'm going to do that day. Now, if I'm not feeling awesome, I'm not going to do 30 kilometers on my bike. I might do 5. If it's a great day and I feel better, I will continue to go by how my body feels, because anyone with kidney disease knows that it is an invisible disease, and you could get up at 9 o'clock in the morning and feel great, and by 3 you feel like garbage. So it's one of those things that you do have to judge your own personal health on. And just because you were able to do something on Monday doesn't mean you're going to be able to do it on Friday. I've had many breaks in my exercise. I've had many frustrations, but I can say the more routine that you keep, the better it will be, and the more resilient your body will get and more accepting of it. You're going to be sore. The first 2 weeks, there's no way around it. A normal, healthy person will be sore. And that's part of my reason for not stopping. I take short 2 or 3 day breaks, but I don't take 2 or 3 week breaks anymore, because I don't want to have that really like bad soreness again. And I find that seems to come back easier because the toxins seem to build up faster now that my body is more used to that. But yet again, something is better than nothing. Like Kevin said, I tell myself that every day. If I'm not feeling wonderful, not sitting on the couch and doing something is always going to be better than choosing to do nothing. And some days that's all we can do. And that's
I really like that you mentioned that. And I think another thing, again, I know your story and I've spoke to you about it before. I think it would be good to maybe make a comment on the differences between situations sometimes. I know I've talked to you about, it must be very different, or it could be quite different for those who may be in center for hemodialysis. And so maybe you can comment just quickly on those differences. And
so I would say I haven't done hemo since I was 4. So I don't get those highs and lows of holding fluid. My blood is cleaned 24 hours a day, much more similar to what a regular kidney would do. Therefore, I am able to establish a higher amount of energy, and I don't have those extra toxins built up in my blood that people doing hemo may have. I'm also at an advantage of being younger, and I don't have any other health issues. I don't have diabetes or any of the other things that can go with kidney disease. I had bad luck and got an infection. So that also makes my situation a little bit different. Now I do take anti-rejection drugs and all those sorts of things from getting a kidney. So that also changes things for me as opposed to someone who has not gotten a kidney. So like I said, I think you really need to set your own goals, sit down and really have a discussion with yourself of what you want to accomplish and what is reasonable for you.
I think that's very, very important. It's great to hear what others are doing. And I think that can be very, very encouraging and motivating to people, but it can also go in the opposite way sometimes when people may not necessarily be able to reach that, the stage that they're at, but that's okay, because everybody is individual and everyone has their own stage to start at and kind of to progress to. So, some people may think, wow, exercising must come so easy to her. But do you ever have days where you're tired or you just feel like you don't want to do it? And how do you get over that? How do you push yourself to continue?
I wouldn't say it comes easy. I'm a single mom with 2 jobs. I spend a minimum of 2 hours a day doing dialysis, split up between 4 different times. My daily schedule revolves around dialysis. That's the reality of my life, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean it's easy. That doesn't mean exercise is what I want to do at 5 a.m. when I get up in the morning. And don't get me wrong, I don't get up at 5 a.m. every day. Some days I do, and some days I don't. If I don't sleep well, which anyone who has kidney disease knows that sleep and kidney disease do not go hand in hand, I'm not going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and push my body to do something that it's not capable of. So yet again, I also have to talk to myself a lot and figure out what is reasonable. And sometimes it's just not reasonable to do what I want to do in my head. Like, I usually always plan to do like a 30 to 40 kilometer bike ride every weekend. And some weekends, either time doesn't allow for that, or I just do not feel good enough to do it. And that's the reality of the situation, is that there's going to be those days where even though you feel like you want to be able to do more, you physically cannot. But that doesn't mean that everything you did is a waste.
Exactly. That's such a good point. What motivates you, like on the days that you are able to push yourself to get up and do something? What motivates you? Like what is it about physical activity that makes you want to do it?
The fact that I feel so much better. Like, I know when I get up in the morning on those days that I am extra tired, me not working out is not going to make me more tired. Like, some people think, oh, I can't do a workout, like I'm already tired. That's not how it works. Yes, maybe in the very beginning, you may feel exhausted after doing a workout because your body's not going to be used to that. You're shocking your body essentially, if that's not something that you've done ever. But you're not going to necessarily be more tired from it. I get a lot more energy and my mood is significantly better if I work out. I have more confidence. I feel better about myself. I have more patience for my work and my child. And I'm just generally happier with myself because my body is working better. I'm not keeping those extra toxins in, and I'm taking some much needed time for me.
I think it's a really good point that you say, you're working on the toxins, we know that exercise is beneficial to our bodies. We know that it's beneficial to our health and just in general, but would you say it's true that it's beneficial to your mental health?
100%. When COVID originally started, we didn't know how long this was going to go on for. So I started just prolonging, like, okay, I can't go to the gym for a month. Okay, now I can't go for 2 months. And it came to the point where I was nervous to leave my house, and I was just not an overly happy person because I was basically scared of the world and I had no outlet for me. So that was when I really had to make a decision, like, what am I going to do to fix this problem? Because no one can fix it but you. No one's going to come to your house and knock on your door and say, it's time to work out at 5 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the evening. It has to be something that you want to do, and it's an investment in your health. And I made that decision a long time ago that the investment to me is worth it. And I invest in my health every day because I want to live a long, healthy life. And I just feel like it's worth it. And that's a motivation. My daughter sees me work out. She wants to join in. I get to do things like this and talk to other people who are motivated by things like that. I have a really good team of online women that I can log on and work out with. They do not have kidney disease, but they're very, very supportive of that. And I find that that's really helpful when you have other people counting on you. And I start a program with them and we finish together, and it does help a lot. But it's not an easy commitment to make, but it's a worthwhile commitment to make.
Definitely. I think that's the big point here. It's not easy. There's most of the problem you probably, or most of the time you may feel like you don't want to do it, but it's worth it.
And that's with healthy people. Like, I don't think that changes
exactly
whether you're well or not. Like, it's one of those things that people can constantly make an excuse for. But for me, it's like a daily appointment. I wouldn't just skip doing dialysis because I don't feel like it. I wouldn't just not go to the doctor because I don't feel like it. So I don't give myself that choice anymore because I've seen how beneficial it is. And I just know that I need that in my life.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Again, you know, I've heard your story before. I've asked you so many questions before. You've always been really great to answer my questions, even if they seem silly. So it is really, you know, I'm so happy that we were able to share your story with some more people, of course. Just before we go, is there any kind of last little message that you'd like people to hear?
I would just tell people that we're all so much more capable than what we think we are. Like, if someone had have told me last July that I would bike 100 kilometers, I would have laughed so hard I would have cried, because I wouldn't have at that point been able to bike 5. So you have to start somewhere, but if you don't start, you're never going to get anywhere with it. So start small, set obtainable goals, and just see what you can do, and you will be amazed with what you can do.
For sure. Thank you so much, Sarah. And thank you to all of our speakers that we had with us this evening or afternoon, depending on where you are. And thank you to all of the participants for staying with us here to the end. If you do have any questions at all kind of afterwards, feel free to contact me. You can contact us at atlantic.programs@kidney.ca. This webinar was recorded, and we will put it up on our website and our YouTube channel. In about a week or so, you'll receive an email from us with the link to watch the recording of the webinar if you'd like. And also, when you leave this webinar, when you close it off, you should see a survey that pops up. If it doesn't pop up, that's okay. You'll also get an email with the link to that survey. And that survey just helps us, it gives us a little bit of information on how the webinar went and what our kidney community wants for future programs and events. Like I said earlier, as a little motivation to fill out this survey, we are offering a $50 Sobeys gift card as a draw prize. So by default, the survey is anonymous, but if you do want to get in on the draw for the prize, you do have to give us your email or your phone number so we know how to contact you if you win. So again, thank you guys so much. This was a great session. I know myself, I enjoyed it lots. Again, thank you to our speakers. It was wonderful. Thank you guys, and have a lovely evening, rest of your afternoon.